All right, seventh grade. Well, today we're changing our focus a little bit, and we're going to talk about complementary and supplementary angles. So, something that you need to understand is when two angles are complementary with each other, when you add their measurements together, it equals 90 degrees. When two angles, their measurements added together equal 180 degrees, they are supplementary. So, part of your assignment today is going to show you two angles. And it's simply going to ask you, are the two angles, are they complementary, are they supplementary, or are they neither? Because they don't add up to be 90 or 180. So, let's just make a couple of angles here. Now, once again, get the privilege of seeing Mr. Swack's artwork. We have an angle here that we're going to say is 72 degrees. And then we have an angle here that we're going to say is 18 degrees. So to figure out whether they're supplementary, complementary, or neither, I simply add them together. So I would add the 72 to the 18. If I do 72 plus 18, I'm going to find that that equals 90, which means those two angles are complementary. Now, if I have two other angles, let's say, okay, so I have an angle here. We're going to say that angle is 137 degrees. Okay, then I have an angle here. We're going to say this angle is 43 degrees. So I have two angles there, 137 degrees and 43 degrees. So to figure out whether they're complementary, supplementary, or neither, I have to add them together. Got to do 137 plus 43. If I do 137 plus 43, I'm going to find, sure enough, that that equals 180, making that 137 degree angle and that 43 degree angle supplementary. Now, sometimes you'll get one like this. Give ourselves a little more room. We have an angle here. That's our angle. And then we have an angle here. And we're going to say that this one is 32 degrees. Now, first of all, this angle here, okay? Seventh grade, you need to be aware that this is what we call a right angle. This little box here that's indicated indicates that this is a right angle. You should already know that a right angle is equivalent to 90 degrees. All right angles are 90 degrees. So if I was to add these two numbers together, my 90 plus my 32, I would find that that equaled 122. That is not 90, so it's not complementary. It's not 180, so it's not supplementary. This one would be simply neither. And on the first part of your assignment today, that is what you're doing. They give you two angles. You simply have to add them up. If they equal 90 degrees, they are complementary. If they equal 180 degrees when you add them up, they are supplementary. If they, like this example that we did, don't add up to either 90 or 180, you're going to write neither. Now, your second set of directions, let me get my other board out here, is going to tell you to find the value of x. And so you're going to be using this knowledge of complementary and supplementary angles to find the value of x, okay? So let's look at an example here, all right? Here we have an angle, all right? There we have our little box. We should remember what that means, all right? I always love it when I get to show off my artwork for you guys. So we're going to have an angle here that is 25 degrees, okay? And this is going to say x degrees. That's going to be the unknown. That's not what we know. That's what we don't know. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I have to solve for x. Well, I have to use the prior knowledge in my brain. I should realize with this box that this is a right angle. Thus, the whole angle is 90 degrees. The whole thing is 90 degrees. I see that my smaller angle here is a 25 degree angle. So common logic then will tell me, well, this is going to be what's left. So if I take 90, which is the entire thing, and I subtract 25, which is what I know that part is, and I do this subtraction problem, well, I can't do 0 minus 5. So I borrow from the 9, make it an 8. The 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 2 is 6. I find that x equals 65. And sure enough, if I were to plug in 65 for x, 65 plus 25 equals 95. So let's look at another one. All right, let's say, for example, I get something that looks like this. All right, this one's going to be a little bit different. All right, it's going to make a little x here, and it's going to say, okay, this angle here is 72 degrees. This angle here is 0 degrees. Okay? First of all, it's important that we know that opposite angles are equal. Opposite angles are equal. So when I have these opposite angles, okay, then I should be able to know that this 72 and this x are the same. They are equal. So if I have x degrees over here and 72 over here, without doing any math, I should realize that x equals 72. It's important to remember that opposite angles are congruent or equal. All right, we're going to look at one more, and then we'll sign off for today. We're going to go ahead and make another one similar to what we had up there. All right, and we'll kind of put that through. So there we have this, and here we're going to have a situation. Here I'm going to have 7x, and here I'm going to have x plus 20. So this is going to be 7x degrees, and this is going to be x plus 20 degrees. Very important thing that this problem assumes that you know, and I'm pretty sure we've gone over this before at some point, maybe not this year in 7th grade, but when we have a straight line, that is actually a type of angle. We've talked more about how we have right angles that are 90 degrees. We talked about that in this example over here. We have the acute angles, which are smaller than 90 degrees. We have the obtuse angles, which typically we define as bigger than 90 degrees. But obtuse angles are actually bigger than 90 degrees, but they're not quite 180 degrees or a straight line. This line is actually a straight angle. It is actually an angle, okay? And so it's what we call a straight angle. And a straight angle is equal to 180 degrees. So when I look at this problem, I see, oh, well, here I have a straight angle, which means that this angle here, which is 7x, and this angle here, which is x plus 20, combined have to equal 180. So I use my prior knowledge of making an equation. And I should say, okay, well, 7x plus x plus 20 all equals 180. So I combine what I know. I know that there's no number in front of a variable, so that's a 1. So it's like 7x plus 1x, which gives me 8x plus 20 equals 180. Then I'm back to, I need to isolate the variable from both sides. So I'm going to subtract 20 from over here. And that's going to give me 0. Then remember, of course, whatever I do to this side of the equation, I have to do to this side of the equation. So if I subtract 20 from over here, I've got to subtract 20 from over here. And if I'm doing my math right, that's going to equal 160. So that leaves me with, I'm going to give myself a little more space. If I'm looking at that correctly, I believe that that leaves me with 8x equals 160. So I'm going to come over here to 8x equals 160. Well, now I know I just have to divide by 8. And 160 divided by 8 is 20. X equals 20. And that's how you solve that. All right. Have a good day, 7th grade.